Hello everyone, welcome to another Hallo beginner lesson with Victoria. You can find me on the Hallo app at Victoria36. It's so good to be with you guys today. Let's get started. So first we're going to do some reading, as always, and we're going to be reading about my friend. That's our title, that's the topic. I have this nice picture of our friend over here. So let's learn about our friend. This is my friend Jose. He is from Honduras. He is a photographer. He studied art in college. He is 23 years old. He is single, but he really likes this girl named Anna. Okay, that's actually it for the reading. So I read that kind of quickly, but also not super fast. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along. I'll read this again, but this time I'm going to read and then I'll pause, and you should be reading this out loud as well. My friend. This is my friend Jose. He is from Honduras. He is a photographer. He studied art in college. He is 23 years old. He is single, but he really likes this girl named Anna. Okay, so you guys should feel comfortable saying the words. You've heard me say them. You hopefully have the pronunciation down. In terms of reading comprehension, reading understanding, right? We have a friend, we know where he is from, we know what he does for work, we know what he did when he was at university, we know how old he is, and we know by this he is single. We know that he is not married and he doesn't have a girlfriend, but we do know that he has interest in maybe dating this girl. And so that's what we know about our friend. So hopefully you understood that as you're reading it. If not, go back. You can look up these vocab words. And that will be such good practice. Okay, there are a lot of slides on grammar here, and these are super important. So I'm going to try and go through them. Mostly, though, I just recommend, just really sit down and, think about these different charts. They really walk you through all these different rules with simple present tense. So first we're going to talk about the rule, then we have a bunch of examples. We broke them down into this nice chart for you guys, okay? So there are a bunch of different types of rules, and so this is just the first rule, and then we'll talk about some other situations when the rule has to be changed. But this is where we're going to start. So if you have a verb, an action word, a verb, and it ends in a consonant or the letter E, then all you really need to do is add an S to the end of the verb if you want to use it with he, she, or it, those pronouns. And so these verbs are used to describe things people regularly do instead of what they are doing right now in the moment, what they're currently doing. So, for example, right, so these would just be the basic verbs, like I walk, I sleep, you run, we speak, they escape, you all walk, they sleep, right? So all you need to do with this chart is you can take any of the words up here and you can just stick the verb as it was immediately right there. And so I walk. That doesn't mean that I'm currently walking down the street. It just means sometimes I regularly go walking. We sleep, right? We run. That doesn't mean I'm currently running or that we're currently running, but we do go running. And so that's what we mean by simple present tense. These are verbs that tell me this is a thing, this is an action that I do normally. Now if I want to say he does something, I can't say he walk, she sleep, it run, That's not grammatically correct in English. What I need to do is I need to add an S, right? So that's what this rule is saying. All of these words here, like walk ends with the letter K, which is a consonant. Consonant is any letter that is not an A, E, I, O, or U. But here, so any of those letters or an E. And so walk ends in a K, that's a consonant sound. All we need to do is add S. He walks, she walks, she sleeps, it runs. And then escapes is our example. This word ends with an E, right? We can see that. So again, all we need to do is add an S, and then that's just it. That's how we'd use it with he, she, or it. So some example sentences: you and I both walk to school, but he runs to school. So this gives us an example. You and I walk, no S, walk to school, but he, now we're on this side of the chart, he runs to school. So that's why we had to add that S in addition to run. Runs. Another example, we all speak English, but she speaks Portuguese. So we all speak English, but she speaks Portuguese with an S. Okay, so if you guys have that one down, now we're going to add another rule to that. These are for verbs that end with an O, an X, with SH, CH, double S's. So listed right up there. This is just a rule that you're going to want to memorize. But what you do now is we need to add an ES. So instead of just adding an S, we're going to add an ES. Fortunately, though, when it comes to conversational English, it's going to sound the same. You basically are just adding an S sound. But when you're spelling them out, if you're writing English, you need to know that you have to add an ES. And so again, here are examples. Go ends with an O. So to use this with he, she, or it, now suddenly we need to add an ES. Goes. She goes to the store. He goes to school. Latch ends with that CH. So same thing, add an ES. Latch becomes latches. Miss has double S's, Mrs. Wash ends with that SH, so washes. So some examples of this: my roommate is nice, but he misses his parents. Misses. The shoemaker latches the buckles onto the shoes. And one more rule with this, again, these all have to do with simple present tense grammar. So now we know if our verb ends with a consonant and a Y, and then you need to add the IES and remove the Y. Yeah, it's complicated. If the verb ends with a vowel and Y, then you can just add the S. So let's actually just go to the chart because I think that'll make more sense. So lay, it ends with a vowel and then a Y, right? A is a vowel and then a Y, so all we have to do is add S. So that's why it becomes lays. But study, D, right before the Y is a consonant. So we have to add an IES. We get rid of the Y, but now study becomes studies. But again, in all these cases, if you're just speaking, the big thing to remember is simple present tense. If you want to use a pronoun, he, she, or it just becomes a matter of adding an S sound. So buy becomes buys, dry becomes dries. And some examples of this: he dries his swimsuit in the sun after swimming in the pool. Dries. Because the R is a consonant. And then there's a Y, we're going to get rid of the Y and add an IES. Whereas with the word she buys milk every Tuesday, buys, the U is a vowel, so we're just going to add an S, and that becomes proper English. So, okay, now we're going to move on to the speaking phrase. I'm trying to plus a verb. I'm trying to means that we're putting in the effort, we are attempting to accomplish something, and here's some examples. Anytime you learn a new phrase, try and make up 3 or 4 of your own and use these the next time you're talking to a native speaker. For example, like this sentence right here, I'm trying to learn English. That's totally something you could say to, native speakers that you meet, or even just friends who understand English, because that's what you're doing, right? You're attempting, you are putting an effort to learn English. The other examples here, I'm trying to pay attention to my teacher. I'm trying to stay awake to finish my project. I'm trying to improve my accent, right? I think this is pretty straightforward. But again, go back, write down 3 or 4 of your own sentences, things that you're trying to do right now. Like maybe you're trying to learn how to cook, or you're trying to get a new job, whatever it is, make up your own sentences, because that's how you're going to get the best practice. Trying can also be used to describe something that's difficult. Learning to speak English can be trying on someone. Running the New York City Marathon can be trying on my legs. Yeah, trying can also be just another way of describing something that is hard, right? Like if you go through something that is trying, it means that it was difficult. It was a trial in your life. So learning to speak English can be trying. It requires effort. It was difficult for you to do. Conversation time, guys. So conversation about family. So I'm just going to read this dialogue. Go find a friend or someone else that speaks English. One of you be Cheryl, one of you be Susan, and just practice reading this conversation and then switch roles. Hey Susan, it has been a while. How's your family? Hey Cheryl, they are doing great. Thank you for asking. How old is your oldest child? Derek is 14, Skylar is 12, and Amanda is 9. You must be a very busy mom. Yes, but Tom helps out too. Last weekend, he took them to the park to have a water fight, which we can see in this picture. Yes, the kids were very happy. I miss those days. All of my children are out of the house already. Yeah, time passes very quickly. I am trying to get my kids to bring over the grandchildren at this point. Well, if you and Bob ever want to come hang out over here, you are more than welcome. Thank you, Susan. You are too kind. Okay. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is this topic of how is your day. This topic discusses how to ask someone about how their day is going in the present tense. So what is happening right now? Although the past tense is more common for this topic, it's still good to know how to ask about the present. So common ways of doing this is you might hear, how is your day going? What are you up to now? How are you? These are asking how someone feels, what they're doing in the moment, instead of what already happened, which would be past tense. So to respond to these questions, you're going to need to answer in the present tense. So remember to always respond in the tense that your question was asked, right? So if someone asks you, how are you? You could respond, I am enjoying the wonderful weather outside. Like, I'm great. And that is a current emotion that's present tense. I am on my way to the gym. I am finishing a project for my boss. I am bored, so I am playing some video games to pass the time. Whatever it is, these are things that you are currently experiencing right now. And there you go. That's it. That's it for this lesson. Hopefully you guys learned some English. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And I will see you next time. Bye!